Philtor is a Max for Live device that brings multi-band filter sequencing to Ableton Live. Let me show you around. So you have 12 filter banks, which you can either turn off or on by clicking on them, or if you click and drag all the way to the right, you can engage them all. You also have a volume for each one of the filter banks. You have a cue size, which is this little blue line, which we can bring it up and we can get some feedbacky sort of ambient tones to it, which I'll show you in a second. You also can slope that either to the right or to the left. And we can also, with that slope, if I bring it down like that, you can also dial in a curve shape to it as well. Let's get the main flavor of this device in, which is the sequencer. So we have a sequencer section here, and this is our utility section, and they kind of work in tandem together. So first up, you need to make sure you have the sequence dial all the way over here. That means this sequencer is going to be controlling the filter, and that's what you're going to be hearing. There we go. So let's hear it. So this down here is one measure of music. It's represented as 16 notes. We've got attack, decay, duration, random trigger, and random velocity. So attack deals with how quickly the note's going to come in. Decay is how long the note's going to last for. Essentially, if we put it up to 0, what's going to happen there is it's going to sound out until the next step. The attack and decay are based on the size of the triggered step here, and they are both directly controlled with the duration dial here. If the duration is set to 1, the length of the step will run until the next trigger. If you bring it more down towards 0, it will run for the length of the step. For example, here I've got 1/16th note. So let's hear that. And that gives it more of a short, choppier sound. Then we have random trigger. So that will go through all the different filter banks, and rather than trigger them all, randomly trigger individual ones, which is really cool sounds. Check this out. Now, if we do that in conjunction with the stereo mono dial here, this will pan them around the stereo image so we get a bit of a wider sound. Also, we can drive it here. We've got a bit of saturation we can add in to bring up the overall volume of those filtered steps. Such a cool sound. Now, if we bring in a bit of a delay, so yeah, with the duration, another thing that's worth mentioning, if we expand it past 1, so we go all the way up, what happens is you create overlapping and sort of swung rhythms as well. So check this out. Such a good sound. Now also with this stereo to mono dial here, we can stagger the filter banks from left to right or right to left. Obviously, we've looked at the drive here, which is going to drive the signal. It pushes like a warmer sound, it gets a saturation, it even compresses it a little bit. We can use pull to go from subtle to aggression, and we can use tone to tilt the brighter or darker, but these only work when the drive is on. So let me bring in a little bit of pull, and then I'll adjust the tone. Now we have different frequency modes. Let's just start down here with the simple stuff first. What we can do is we can engage a low pass filter here. So really simple. A really nice simple low pass filter there. And we have a time delay here which delays the sequencer's clock. So we can really shift the timing of this sequencer. Before we get onto the different filter frequencies here, the filter bank, Formant, Harmonic, let's take a look at this section here, which is the cue size, which is this when we get some ambient textures evolving over time with the use of these filter, Formant, and a harmonic banks here. So let's bring it up. Really cool sounds, right? We can slope it. So lean it more to low frequencies or to the high frequencies, and then putting a curve in there. So now I have more control over the fixed filter bank, which is these 12 filter banks here. If I put variable, I can adjust these dials and you can sort of see what's going on with the frequencies here. I've got more control over the bands here. I've also got a way of modulating this as well. I can add a curve to it, and then I can bring in an LFO, which I can add to the curve. I can add this to the shift or expand. Let's go curve. Here's the LFO amount. And here's the rhythm. So I can add in, say, 16. Crazy stuff going on. Pretty cool. Hey, I'm just going to put this back to normal. Turn the variable amount off. Turn this LFO off. Next, let's go to Formants. So Formants, what we can do is we've got a set of harmonic, subharmonic, or interlaced formant valve-like sounds we can put on top, and we can also sequence these as well. So we can turn the sequencer on or off here. We can choose how many we have by dragging up and down on this number. We can go and choose the individual valves we like. That's if we turn the sequencer off. If we turn it on, we can add whichever one we want in here by just pressing this button. If we put the numbers up, say to 8, do that, populates them all. Dial in a little sequence, something like this. And then the F slide will deal how stepped it sounds going through these different formants. And then stretch will enable you to stretch the frequencies. Now, it's done with ×3 bands. So you can see over here that some of the bands are not applicable. So it basically only gives you the formants on these bands here. What does that all mean? Let's have a little listen. So if I bring that up, stretch it up, hear those overtones we're getting. Let's do subharmonic. It's interlaced. So cool. Let's try harmonic now. This one basically deals with generating 12 frequencies from the harmonic series. Same thing again, we've got harmonic, subharmonic, interlaced. We can choose our pitch. We go C3. I can choose if the sequencer is on or off. Let's put it on. And skew deals with the harmonic series, how close it is to the lower or higher frequencies. So let's bring it all the way down for now. Let's put harmonic. Stretch that out. Getting some crazy sounds there, which is really cool. Some really ambient-esque style textures. If we go into the ambient world, what we can do is we can press MIDI, and that disables this sequencer, and we can now control it with a MIDI controller or a MIDI clip. Okay, so I have my MIDI controller plugged in, and when I press a note, you can see there's a filter band or a few popping up there. Now, if I can bring in a few layers of it, and then we can bring that in as well. So that's Philtor, and yeah, it's a deep one. There's so much more you can do. If you're interested in getting Philtor, there's a link in the description below. But yeah, if you're into this kind of experimental, movement-based sound design, you're going to love this bundle here. It's called Atmobits, and it essentially was built for you. So why not check it out?